All right, we're back here on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. 609-919-9200 is the number if you want to hop on board with us. This is the Zach Gelb Show on this Monday. 5:15 is the time from the Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios. And my day was actually ruined, and it was ruined this morning when I was chastised by Zach Berman of the Philadelphia Inquirer for eating Rita's water ice too early this morning at the NovaCare complex. So instead of yelling at Zach, I figured we'd get his football insight, and we'll do that right now on the Zach Gelb Show. ZB, appreciate a few minutes. Thanks for the time, and how are you?
I'm doing well. I wasn't chastising you at all. Actually, I respect the fact that you were there. I was just trying to give you veteran advice to pace yourself a bit because it was going to be a long, hot day. So if you wait until like the halfway point of practice to get the water ice, it might last you a little longer.
I'm just saying, I thought I was getting chastised because at 10:45 in the morning, I get a little, this guy, he's eating a water ice at 10:45 in the morning. So I thought you were getting ready to write me up in your practice report. Zach Gelb eats water ice way too early in the morning.
It is a little early, but no, I respect it. Rita's is good.
Hey, I'm still broke, so I was trying to get the free food when you can. As we're talking with Zach Berman of the Philadelphia Inquirer. LeGarrette Blount, a lot has been made about will he make the team or not, especially over the weekend from speculation by Matt Lombardo and also Adam Kaplan. Will LeGarrette Blount be on this team when the final 53 is released?
If you're talking about the 90 players that they have now, then yeah, he's going to be one of the final 53, in my opinion. Now, if they were to add a running back between now and week one, that's where the question would pop up. I don't think they would cut LeGarrette Blount to keep anyone on the roster now who they'd consider cutting. But what I do think would be within the realm of possibility is if there's a good young running back who's becoming available because the depth is good somewhere else, and the Eagles view that as a better option. I don't want to definitively tell you yes or no. If I had to guess today on August 21st, I'd say yes, I believe he's going to be on the team.
Is there a back that you're hearing that may become available, or is this just speculation?
Well, there are teams to crowd at depth charts there, whether you look at, Washington with Matt Jones or Cincinnati with Jeremy Hill. I'm not saying any of those backs would become available. I'm just saying that I don't think the Eagles' backfield is very deep, and I think there are teams around the NFL that have some good young players there. So, this is the week where you start to hear names who might be on the roster bubble. You look at Kansas City, for instance. Are they going to keep 4 running backs? They have a handful of good backs there. So there's no one who I would publicly say this is who I think they're going to get. But certainly there are players out there to keep an eye on.
Let's say if they keep the guys on this roster and they're going to go with these guys to pick who they're going to narrow down to their 4 running backs. Who are your 4 running backs as of right now?
As of right now, I still keep the guys who are atop the depth chart, which is Blount, Sproles, Smallwood, and Pumphrey. But certainly Corey Clement's making a good case right now with the way he's playing. Smallwood's had a real good camp. You need to see him in games. I frankly think Darren Sproles is the best running back on the team, and I would distribute the playing time accordingly.
If LeGarrette Blount is on this roster, let's go off that assumption for the sake of this question. What do you expect out of him in terms of production for this upcoming season?
Real quick, Zach, I have some breaking news here. The Eagles are getting a 2018 fifth-round pick from Seattle, and they're trading Matt Tobin in a seventh-round pick. So giving away Tobin, a guy who I didn't think was going to make the team, and they add an extra fifth-rounder. Sorry to break in there. I saw that alert come across my phone here.
Very nice news.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So in terms of LeGarrette Blount, assuming he's on this team this year, what is, and I know we all have to get situated now with that major breaking news of Matt Tobin being traded, but what is the expectation for LeGarrette Blount this year, and how do you think Doug should use him?
Short yardage and goal line. That's how I think he'll be. I shouldn't even just say short yardage. First down, short yardage, and goal line. I don't think you're going to see him in the game on 3rd and 6, nor should he be. That should be Darren Sproles' role. But I do think that that he would have a role, especially in short yardage and goal line situations, and I think he's going to be their first down running back. So I don't think he'll match the production he had in New England last year. But, I mean, time will tell how productive he's going to be here.
Talking to Zach Berman right now from the Philadelphia Inquirer. As you digest that trade news, it did get me thinking about Howie Roseman. How do you evaluate so far what Howie Roseman has done in his now second stint, since life after Chip Kelly?
Yeah, I think he's done a solid job. I can't criticize him because I said before the offseason that Alshon Jeffrey should be their primary target this year, and they signed Alshon Jeffrey. I said before the draft that they should pick Derek Barnett. They drafted Derek Barnett. So if I was here being critical of them, then those were the two biggest moves they made. That being said, I think they had a hole at cornerback, which acquiring Darby certainly helps. I don't think they've done a good job addressing running back. I think that's going to be an issue for them. So I think by and large he's done a good job, but I'm not ready to send him to Canton for this offseason either.
How much better do you feel about this secondary with just Darby being here? I know there's still some holes, but with Darby being here, you have to feel a lot more better with the secondary, right?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a trickle-down effect, too, because by putting Darby in there, all of a sudden John Mills becomes your second corner, and he's probably better suited for that than being your number one. They need to figure out what they're doing in the slot, but they're not asking so much of guys like, a C.J. Smith type. You can develop, or Rasul Douglas. You can develop them more. So I really like the trade for Darby, and I didn't like giving up Matthews. I wonder if Matthews was really needed in the deal, considering they gave up a third rounder. But I like the fact that they got Darby.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was a trade where I like it, but I didn't necessarily be jumping up and down because I do believe Matthews' production is going to be tough to replace, but they'll probably go by committee like what we've been hearing so far. With these wide receivers, Alshon Jeffrey's going to make the team. Torrey Smith's going to make the team. Nelson Aguilar as well, even though I'm still very dubious when it comes to Nelson Aguilar, as I told you before, in training camp. The other three wide receivers on this team probably figure Matt Collins and who else?
Well, it's a good question because the question is, do they keep 6 or do they keep 5? And if they keep 5, then I would look at it and say it's between Greg Ward, Shelton Gibson, Bryce Triggs. If they keep 6, then you're looking at 2 of those guys. It'd be rare for them to trade a 5th-round pick. I'm sorry. It'd be rare for them to release a 5th-round pick. They've only done that once under Howie's regime, but I think Shelton Gibson has been outplayed a bit. Triggs hasn't been on the field. Greg Ward's had a good summer. And I think Marcus Johnson's going to be on the team. So that depends if they keep 5 or 6 here. But if they keep 5, I think that's going to be Marcus Johnson. If they keep 6, I think it's going to be one of those 3 guys I mentioned.
You got it. Is this team right now, do you view them as a playoff team after the Darby trade?
Not a playoff team, but it's certainly in contention for it. Depends what happens elsewhere in the division, but they'll be up there.
In terms of not making the playoffs this year, how is this a successful year for the Eagles if they don't make the playoffs? What needs to go right for them?
Well, if they don't make the playoffs, I don't think it's a very successful year, but the development of Carson Wentz, that's going to be really critical. Can Carson develop? Can he take that step in year 2? So that's one thing to watch. But along the way, you want to see some of these young players get there, and you want to have a sense of the direction they're going. But they need to be better than 7-9. They need to show that they're better than they were last season.
How much confidence do you have in the coach? Because a lot of people are skeptical with Doug Pederson. Yeah,
time will tell. I mean, I thought he had a pretty good first year, frankly, especially early in the year. But I'm not totally sold on him. I don't know if he's a championship level coach yet. We'll see. But I think that when you look at the 3 most important people they have, which is the head coach, the quarterback, and the GM, I think Doug is on the shortest leash of all of them. So we'll see what happens here. But I think the jury's still out.
I'll ask you to be clairvoyant here with Derek Barnett and Vinny Curry. At the end of the year, do you believe we'll be seeing Derek Barnett starting over Vinny Curry?
Yes, I do. I do. I think Derek Barnett's going to be a more productive pass rusher. I don't think it's going to be September 10th, but I think by December 31st that's the case.
And I'll end you on this, Zach Berman from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Give me one player on the offensive side of the ball, one player on the defensive side of the ball that has impressed you so far in training camp that maybe you weren't thinking would be very good for the Eagles for this upcoming season.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've gotten that a few times, and I wish I could say there's been someone who's really jumped up. And I don't think that's the case, nor someone who's been really disappointing. I guess Nelson, he's had a good summer in camp. So that's one. Nelson Aguilar, obviously. Down the depth chart, Marcus Johnson played well early this summer, and then he got banged up for a bit. So I would look at that offensively, and then defensively. Camus Gerger-Hill, he's a linebacker a lot of people don't know about, but I think he's had a good summer for them. And then I guess Rasul Douglas is someone I thought would be more of a contributor, and he really hasn't been. So I'm actually going to go Pumphrey and Douglas for the players who haven't really met expectations. But that's a third and fourth round pick, so that needs to be kept in perspective as well. And then I'll go Marcus Johnson and Camus Gerger-Hill.
Well, ZB, I appreciate it. Always enjoy you coming on the show, and I'll make sure tomorrow at about 11 a.m. at practice, I'll bring you over a nice water ice. What type of water ice do you like?
Any kind. I appreciate it, Zach.
You got it. Man. Thanks so much. Zach Berman right there with us from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Now, that's a mistake by Zach Berman, who's a veteran, and here is why. You don't take any color water ice. If you are not going to work, whatever color. But when you're at work, and then from there you're going to other places, especially a person of the fame of Zach Berman, you need to make sure that your tongue is clean in case they throw you on TV or someone puts a camera in your face. So when I'm at Eagles practice and knowing I have to go to work from there, I don't have the cherry water ice. I go lemon because it is a white ice. Therefore, you don't see it on the tongue. So if Zach wants to be critical of myself about what time I eat the water ice and maybe being a little bit young and not understanding the pace of training camp, well, I'm going to throw it right back in his face and tell him you can't go any water ice. So